Before I get this video started, I have to give a special thank you to the guys down at Subaru of Corvallis for allowing me to come down and review the 2019 Subaru Forester Limited. If you are interested in the 2019 Subaru Forester Limited, be sure to hit them up and they'll be happy to get you into your next vehicle. The link to the dealership will be in the description box below.
What's going on? This is Big G from G Riders and welcome to another episode of Test Your Rides. Today, I'm going to be testing out the 2019 Subaru Forester Limited. Welcome to the 2019 Subaru Forester. All new for the 2019 model year, this Forester has gotten a little bit bigger, more efficient, and more powerful, and that quality level has went up quite a bit over the previous model. Since this car is now on the Subaru global platform, this and always has been the in-between vehicle of the Ascent and the Crosstrek. So now it's on the new platform. It actually feels like it belongs with those other crossovers. So if the Ascent is way too big for you and the Crosstrek is too small for you, this is the perfect model for you to pick up. 2019 Subaru Forester Limited, and this Forester and all Foresters come standard with a 2.5 liter boxer 4-cylinder making 182 horsepower and 176 foot-pounds of torque. And unfortunately for the 2019 model year, the XT is now gone. So this is the only engine that you can get in this vehicle, and that's why they added the new sport trim to give you the sporty appearance, but not the sporty engine, because really not that many people were buying that one. So since this is a mid-size crossover, this does weigh about 3,500 pounds. So even though this 2019 Forester is heavier than the outgoing model, it does get a little bit better gas mileage. So it gets 26 in the city and 33 out on the highway, which is pretty good for a full-time all-wheel drive SUV just like this one. And it's due to kind of the more modern platform and the CVT that this car has. So the 2019 Subaru Forester starts at about $25,000 or so. And there's a lot of nice, good standard equipment on the 2019. But this one here is a limited, so it's pretty close to the top end of the Subaru Forester range. So this one starts at about $31,000. You get a lot of good standard equipment. Since this one is kind of one of the first early of the dealership limiteds, this one came with the option package. So this one has the Harman Kardon sound system, the 8-inch infotainment display with navigation, and this also has the rear braking assist and a couple other things I'll list them on the screen here. But because this one has that package on it, this car comes in right under $35,000, which is pretty good considering that you do get a lot of all the safety stuff. This car is a little bit bigger, and also it's nice that Subaru's offering the heated steering wheel for the 2019 model year. It's something that they've really been lacking over the last couple generations of Subarus. So before we take a look at the inside of the 2019 Subaru Forester, let's take a quick look around it to see kind of some differences between this one and the old one. All right, let's start here at the front corner with the 2019 Subaru Forester. As you can kind of notice here, the headlights are a little bit bigger than they were before, and they now do have that signature. They now have that signature LED daytime running light that a lot of Subarus are coming with nowadays. And also it says Forester right there in the headlight, which is kind of cool. I don't know if you can pick that up. That's pretty awesome. I mean, I think that's kind of cool that Subaru's starting to do like the Easter eggs all around the car. And I also like the new design with the fog light area down there where it has a little chrome surround there. I think that looks pretty nice. Because this is a limited, so this one is going to come with a little bit of chrome. So I think that looks pretty nice, pretty tastefully done. The grille is pretty standard Subaru. I do like the wheel design. It's average Subaru, but it looks nice. It's tastefully done. Subaru's not about being flashy or fancy or anything like that. They just want their vehicles to look nice without going overboard. So kind of the biggest difference that you'll notice with the 2019 Subaru Forester is in the rear, because they now has new tail lights for the 2019 model year, and as you can see, it takes up a little bit bigger of the corner. And it looks a lot similar to the 2019 Subaru Ascent tail lights, just a little bit smaller versions of them, and I think that looks pretty nice. But if it was me personally, if I had this car, I'll tint those out. I think that'll look pretty cool, to be honest. So before we go up to the front, one thing to notice, I'm gonna go ahead and open up the back here. Power lift gate. Look how much more open the 2019 Subaru Forester's cargo area is. Back with the previous generation model, the tail light used to kind of impede in the side there. Now it's just you got a nice wide open space to load all your stuff in. Plus, as you can see, close my case here, there is a lot of space back here. I'll put up official number here. Continuing on to almost get inside of the Subaru Forester. So since this is a limited model, and actually now I believe that the Subaru Forester comes standard with push button start and comfort access on most of the models. So since this one is limited, it does have the key fob here, the typical Subaru key fob. And it does, just like Toyota's, have the little notch here to lock. And then to unlock, you just walk up to it and grab the door handle. And there's the inside of the 2019 Subaru Forester. Let's go ahead and hop in and see what it's looking like. Welcome to the 2019 Subaru Forester. When you get into the Forester, this Forester feels very familiar, but it feels a lot more modern than it did before. So let's go ahead and start over here, kind of where I rest my arm to drive. It's nice and soft. There's a lot of soft touch materials here, and everything looks pretty nice. I'm glad that, go ahead and grab this camera here. I'm glad Subaru didn't go with the kind of the fake-ish carbon fiber. I just kind of like the texture. That looks pretty awesome. And I like all the new switch gears and knobs that the 2019 Subaru Forester has. And then down here, it's kind of new. So this has kind of a lot of controls for like the power lift gate and the memory for the power lift gate, the traction control, start, stop, off, and blind spot monitoring off, and the brightness of your gauge cluster. In here in the gauge cluster, this is your typical Subaru. It looks pretty nice. It's easy to use, and I do like the 8-inch screen for the infotainment system here. And one thing that I didn't know before, but this Forester has a knob for the X mode here in the middle, which is pretty nice. And this car does have auto vehicle hold and heated seats in the front. So let's go ahead and start it up and see how everything looks when it comes to life. Turn that heat down. Alright, so with everything to life, this just looks like normal Subaru, and I really love this little screen, this little information screen here. In old Foresters before, it was just like a black and white screen that really didn't have much of a purpose, just told you the time and some basic information. And now they turn this into an info screen that gives you a lot of the information. So as you can see here, this has the engine, the oil temperature, the regular temperature, and the average speed. Let's flip through it. You also have the weather, and we are in Corvallis because we're doing the Subaru in Corvallis. It has the street that I'm on right now, the navigation. It has the XM radio screen here, and it also has the distance to empty and the average miles per gallon that this car has been getting since it brought in. And the clock. It also gives you all the information. That is a cool screen there that gives you all the information for the blind spot monitoring and the front engine, the front end assist, and also it shows you the brake lights when I step on the brake lights. That's pretty cool. And also pitch and roll, like off-road stuff like the TRD off-road Tacoma had. It also shows you the angle that the vehicle is sitting at when you're doing some off-road stuff. I think that's pretty cool. I mean, I know a lot of these cars aren't going to see much off-road, but I think that's really cool for them to put that in there like that. I fit the seats pretty well. I got lots of headroom, lots of shoulder room. I love this big, huge panoramic sunroof. It's not tinted, which I feel like should be tinted at this point, but it's not that big of a deal. I kind of like it. It brings in so much extra light in here, and it makes this vehicle feel a lot bigger than what it really is. But the interior of the 2019 Subaru Forester seems very familiar. Since I've been reviewing a lot of Subarus lately, this is on par with the interior of the Subaru Ascent and the Crosstrek. This has kind of the modern infotainment screen, so this does have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, which is nice now for the 2019 model year. It's like a Crosstrek but bigger, and which is a great thing because the Crosstrek is an excellent vehicle. So for 35, this is just like a Crosstrek but bigger, and I definitely think that $35,000 is, this definitely looks like a $35,000 car interior. There are a couple cheap plastics around, like I said before, but there are not that many, and Subaru has definitely built a very nice, very high quality vehicle for the 2019 model year. So let's go ahead and look around the car, look at get in the back seat and see how that feels. All right, let's go ahead and get in the back seat here. So this is where I sit. Let's move this box over, and I'm gonna go ahead and get into where I sit in the vehicle. So here in the back seat of the Subaru Forester, it's actually very, very, very comfortable back here. So as you can see here, let's bring this camera back around. My knees are in the seats a little bit, but I wear a size 16 shoe and it fits under the seat very well. You got some nice USB ports back here for charging devices. Some nice back behind seat pockets here. I wish this car did come with heated seats in the back, but I believe that's only on the touring models or so. And these seats do recline, which is nice, but you don't need to lean it back that far. And you do get some of the natural light from the sunroof back here, which is pretty nice. And this makes this car feel nice, open and airy, which is pretty cool. But only thing for me, just because I'm tall and I'm not the smallest dude ever, I don't have that much headroom, but anybody else that is not as big as I am will definitely have no problems back here in the second row of the Subaru Forester. So now with that being said, let's go ahead and head out on the road and see how this bad boy drives. All right, welcome to the driving portion of the 2019 Subaru Forester. Let's head out on the road and see how this bad boy drives. Welcome to the driving portion of the 2019 Subaru Forester Limited. So one thing that Subaru Foresters kind of had a problem with, and actually not just the Foresters but all Subaru models had a problem with, when you stepped on the gas, they like lurched you forward pretty aggressively, which was always a really annoying thing that a lot of the Subaru CVT models had. And now for the 2019 model and all the Subarus that are on the global platform, they don't have that problem anymore, which is pretty nice. And I'm really glad they got rid of that. So this Forester does have the naturally aspirated 2.5 liter. The naturally aspirated 2.5 liter with 182 horsepower to 176 foot-pounds of torque. So like this isn't going to be, this vehicle, and 3,500 pounds. So this vehicle isn't going to be very fast. But from one thing that I noticed about Foresters before, it's like they're not fast vehicles, but they have a pretty adequate amount of power. So let's go ahead and pop it over into the low mode or sport mode, and let's go for put a foot down, see what happens. It gets going pretty good. Like with 182 horsepower, you think this thing would be dog slow. It's not a supercar or a sports car or anything like that, but it is pretty decent. I'm not gonna lie. And one thing that I was messing around on the steering wheel here, I noticed that if you can see from this camera angle here, you could change how the throttle response of the vehicle. So school zone. You can change the throttle response. So basically, when you put your foot down, you could basically control how the car accelerates, which is pretty cool. Like with the car like this being a CVT, that's a very cool feature, and it makes it so that when you want to go have fun and drive a little bit sporty, that you could do that. Or if you want to conserve fuel and drive kind of normally or eco-friendly, you could do that too, which is pretty nice. So what is the 2019 Subaru Forester like to drive? Well, the 2019 Subaru Forester is really comfortable to drive. I have plenty of headroom, plenty of space in the cabin. I feel like the person next to me will have plenty of room, and all the passengers will have plenty of room. There's not much road noise in this vehicle. Like, there's a little bit because this does have a big glass sunroof here, and when you close it, you get a little bit less noise. But only noise that I hear is kind of the wind on the outside of the car, because it's fall here in Oregon, so it's a pretty windy day today. And that's basically really all I hear. But for the most part, it's pretty quiet. The steering is pretty decent. It's your average super steering. It's electric, but it feels nice and heavy, but not like a sporty heavy. It's just like regular heavy, to where the car feels pretty responsive when you move the steering wheel, which is nice. The ride is really good. The suspension tuning in the 2019 Subaru Forester is really nice. It has a decent amount of stiffness, and it's not too soft, floaty, and boaty, which I really like. This is like the typical suspension setup that crossovers like this should have. It should be fun to drive if you want to drive it fun, but also it needs to be comfortable, and this Subaru Forester definitely delivered on that. All right, we're gonna get out into some open roads here and kind of see what this bad boy can do. So I have it over in the sport mode now. Wow, okay. Not bad, Subaru. Not bad, Subaru Forester. That's pretty good. Like, you never notice like how like a small amount of power increase will help the car pull just a little bit harder than it did before. And with this Subaru Forester having 182 horsepower out of I believe this has the FA25 versus the older engine that a lot of the Subarus had. Because this has just a little bit more horsepower, it pulls pretty nice, actually. And I'm glad Subaru decided just to give this a little bit more power. And it is very disappointing. It's very disappointing that there's no longer a Subaru Forester XT with the 2-liter turbo with 260 or 270 horsepower, whatever it had. But it makes sense, because if you think about what you want in a vehicle like this, paying nearly $40,000 for the bigger engine, a lot of people really don't want that, and Subaru saw that. People are going to say, oh my god, I love the XT, but the thing about it is Subaru hardly sold any of the XTs of the last generation Subaru Forester, so they didn't see that it was even worth it or worth their time to build another one, which makes sense, because a car is an expensive thing to develop, and if nobody's going to buy it, what's the point of putting that time in to engineer it? What's the point of putting that time in to engineer the vehicle if nobody's going to buy it? So I understand Subaru's kind of point of view on not wanting to sell a 2019 Subaru Forester XT, even though that car will be missed by me and some other people, but not by most Subaru Forester customers, obviously, because if it was going to be that missed, they will still be making it. But what can I say about this 2019 Subaru Forester? This 2019 Subaru Forester drives pretty nice. It's very comfortable. It's not bad. I can't really push this car because it's pretty wet, and these tires aren't sporty tires. But just from that turn alone, it's pretty decent. It's pretty confidence inspiring, and that's one cool thing that Subarus kind of do with kind of the way they build their cars and the way they set up their suspensions. But it's not a fast car, it's not a sports car, it's a very sensible, very safe feeling, very secure on the road feeling small compact family crossover. And that's what Subaru does so well with these vehicles. And this vehicle it feels just like all the other great Subaru models. It's very comfortable, it's easy to drive, it's easy to see out of. The greenhouse in this car is amazing. It feels pretty safe and secure on the road. It's not that expensive to buy, even though this one is $35,000. You get a lot of equipment for $35,000. And I think that the Subaru Forester is still a very strong player in the compact crossover market. And there's honestly, they improved every small issue that I had with the old one. One thing that I didn't get a chance to show you guys is I had started reviewing a 2018 Subaru Forester Touring, and I didn't get a chance to finish it because as soon as I took it out, since I'm working with a dealership, someone was there to want to buy that model, so I had to take it back. But I did get a short time with it, and this vehicle is greatly improved over that model that I drove before. In terms of kind of the build quality, the quietness, the comfort in the vehicle, and also just the way everything works in the car. And that's what's to be expected with the new model of with the all new model. And I'm glad that Subaru finally redesigned this vehicle, because they're going to be building, and I know they're going to be selling a lot of these vehicles, so I think they built a very solid vehicle here. And if you're considering a compact SUV, and if you're considering a car in this class, I definitely would consider looking at one of these. I don't know if it's the right car for everyone, but it's definitely worth a look. So if you like this video, hit me with the thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, keep riding me. Thanks for watching.